try to find your uniqueness, like something that makes you different. The quicker you can find something that makes you stand out and something that is you, I think that's going to be really, really good.
Välkommen to ONEPODLIFE. That was a little nod for our guest this week, who is Ellie Skoog, who is Swedish. Now, Ellie is one of the biggest golf content creators out there at the moment, but she hasn't always been a social media influencer. She first picked up a golf club back in 1998 due to the fact that both her parents were in the golf industry. In this episode, Ellie tells her story and shares some secrets of the trade and how she can help you enhance your content on social media. Now guys, thank you again for listening to another episode of ONEPODLIFE. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe, share it with your friends, and do get in touch to tell me who you want to listen to and the types of topics you want me to cover. But for now, please welcome Ellie. Okay, so hello Ellie, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I had to Google that, how to say hello quickly. But yeah, thank you for coming to the podcast. And yeah, hopefully we'll get a sort of deep dive into your golfing career and into what is now obviously a blistering sort of influencer career through socials. But first of all, how did you ever get into golf?
Yeah, so it's not like, well, I don't know how to start with it. It's not something like super unique. I feel like for a lot of people it may start that way, but basically because of my parents. Both of my parents work in golf. My dad is a golf coach. And when I was a kid, they were running, basically, my dad was the coach at my home course and my mom was running the shop. So I was practically, you could say, like raised on the golf course, obviously spending a lot of weekends, a lot of time there with my parents. So golf was just something, obviously, that was a big part, of our life. Still is a big part of my
Yeah.
life, of my parents' life, my family's life. So just started playing as a kid. Obviously, my parents wanting me to get into it. So I started swinging a club probably as soon as I could walk, hitting balls when I was like 4 years old. And yeah, practiced once a week, with the juniors and kind of got into a bit of like, we would say friendly competition, as a kid. But it was never really like the main sport growing up. Like I really enjoyed dancing when I was a kid. So I spent many years doing that, especially kind of like throughout my teenage years, like when I was 12, 13, that was probably my main interest. But as I got older, golf kind of grew on me. I liked the way of, having a competitive outlet, something where I could compete in because I felt like I didn't get to do that in dance. So then I just started competing a bit more, when I was like 14, 15. And that's, yeah, I would say
Okay.
when my interest and my love for golf kind of grew the most, probably.
Okay, good stuff. So, well, like I said, both your parents working in the golf industry, kind of, it was destined that at some point golf would come back to the forefront, and obviously move you into that. But did they ever push you into it, or was it just a purely? Well, how did they get into golf as well? If they're both into it, and how did they meet? Like, I'm just interested.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, my dad, his parents play golf as well. They don't work with golf or anything, but just play. And he started working, like when he was younger, he just really enjoyed golf. He did his PGA, and started working with a guy that was kind of like his mentor, and he just really enjoyed it. And they actually did meet over in England, at a golf tournament. My mom was a saleswoman, so they just met like by accident at a golf course. She was there with clients, and
Okay.
then she played a bit, but not really to that extent. And then I
Hmm.
guess after that, she's been playing a lot more for sure too. My dad's a golf addict, so um, yeah, that's kind of their background in golf. But I think they never really pushed me into it. I have a younger sister as well, so we both kind of like played growing up. We're just like 1.5 year apart. But my kind of journey in golf is very different from hers. She doesn't play as much. She plays maybe, I mean, she said now she's getting back into it,
Yeah,
but she's
because you
playing
said
maybe like a few rounds a year,
okay.
I would say. So they never really pushed us into it. It was more that thing, okay, we're working in golf, we're playing a lot of golf. We would love it if you obviously like practice and played and maybe got your green cards. But after that, it was more, you do as you want. They never pushed us into competition or doing anything like that. So I think that's why my sister kind of dropped off, as a teenager, didn't really want to play
Yeah,
and compete. Whereas for me, it was something that, I found a lot more joy in,
no, good
and
stuff.
kind of continued it.
So obviously, they were working in golf. Were they doing that in Sweden at the time, or and obviously growing up in Sweden, I'm not sure what the seasons are like there, but obviously I've seen a lot of your videos that you put out. There's obviously a lot of snow most of the year. So like, what sort of opportunities is there to play golf at that sort of young age?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So yeah, I was raised in Sweden. I lived in Sweden until I was 20, until I moved to the US for college. So obviously the season is very short. And I'm still from kind of like I'm not from the very south, but I'm from Gothenburg. So it's on the west coast. And it's still a very short season being in the south, like golf courses are open probably from like Easter until I would say end of October, if you're
Okay.
lucky and you're further down south, which I am now actually, because now I live in the very south of Sweden in Malmö.
Yeah.
We have maybe a bit more time. We might be able to play a bit during November, but it's still like, most people get maybe 6 months in terms of a season. So um, I really don't know what people did before indoor golf because now obviously that's what people do during winter. But I feel like
Yeah.
growing up, I don't know, people just like put their clubs to the side and waited for snow to disappear and then to be able to go out again.
Unless they're crazy like you and go out and practice in it, obviously.
Exactly,
No.
exactly. Well, it's fun. It's fun to try. It's cold, so you can't stay for too long.
No, definitely not. Okay, yeah. So obviously for 6 months of the year, let's say it's 6 months, obviously golf is obviously the forefront. So obviously, like you said, before that you did a lot of dancing. And obviously when you got to 14, you decided that golf was kind of grabbing your interest. So what at that sort of age, did you sort of like literally put the dancing shoes to one side and go, right, I want to start getting into golf? Or what was the sort of decision making at that point?
I don't remember that clearly, to be honest. Like, I still continue like dancing until I was 20 and when I moved from Sweden, but just more for fun. Like, I didn't see like any future in it, just I really enjoyed it. But I don't know, to be honest. At one point, I guess there was something that clicked. Maybe one of the summers, I probably got a lot better. I probably started seeing some results in my game, I'm sure, and just thought, you know what, like this is fun. Like I should do more of it. And then as well, we had a few girls like in my not my golf team, but like on my at my club that were a few years older than me, and they were all going to the US to play college golf over there. So I kind of saw
Yep.
what they were doing as well. And even though I didn't know for sure that I wanted to go, I kind of had in the back of my head, well, whenever that time comes around, that'd be great, if I'm good enough to go, if I want to do it. So that was
Hmm.
also something I think that I started thinking about, like maybe I should practice and play a bit more and just kind of see how good I can
No,
get.
because I think as a junior, I think you played in, is it the Scandia Junior Tour?
Yeah.
You said you collected 4 tournament wins and quite a few top tens. So, like, what sort of level was that playing at in Sweden, or sort of what sort of tour was that?
That's basically, I mean, it's not called the same now, but that was like the main junior tour in Sweden. So you have different levels. You have kind of like the district level where you start out, then you have the regional level. Then it used to be like they call it like a national level and then an elite level, basically. So I think I won a few on that kind of regional level. And then also like the national level, I won one and got some invitations to play like the Swedish Junior Match Play Championship and Swedish Junior National Championship like the years before I went to college. But again, I started competing kind of late, I guess you would say. Like now people
Yep.
start competing so young, like they're super young, to be honest. It's crazy to see 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds being like that good. But I think when I was 16 I was like probably a 7 handicap when I went into high school. So I was playing like good golf for being a junior, but I was
Mhm.
never that good in that sense. But I had a lot of ambition throughout high school, wanting to get better, and obviously being able to go to the US after.
Yeah, yeah, we'll come to that in a sec. But obviously, I was looking
Yeah,
at I was looking at who are the most successful Swedish golfers, and obviously
yeah.
the main ones stand out. Obviously, Henrik Stenson, Robert Karlsson, Alex Norin,
Hmm.
and Jasper Parnevik. But I was just intrigued to know, like, as you started to get into golf a lot more, sort of, who did you look up to in that sort of from Sweden as golfers?
Um, to be honest, like the names you mentioned now, those are obviously players that we saw a lot, like growing up, like Alex Noren, like Henrik Stenson. Then someone who I didn't see compete as much, but that we all know of is Annika Sorenstam.
Yep,
She's obviously a legend. So being a girl, that's always someone you look up to, and she
yep.
also does a great job, I think, with her foundation. She has this like I think it's called Annika Invitational that she does, which is like a junior tournament for girls each year. I was a bit too well, a bit too old and started a bit too late with the competition to be able to get into her competition because I think it's like you have to be 18 maximum or something like that to play in her events. I think when I
Okay,
was 17, 18, I wanted to play but didn't get in.
it's a shame.
Um, yeah, but that's okay too. But that was just someone that obviously I think she has paved the way for a lot of people in golf in Sweden, a lot of women
No,
especially as
definitely.
well.
Yeah,
So
she's definitely broken down that barrier, hasn't she?
exactly.
I
So
was
I
I
think
was
that's
gonna
someone everyone speaks about, when you
yeah
talk about golf in Sweden, she's the one.
yeah I was gonna mention her, but I was hoping you'd bring her up, so that worked out
Yeah.
perfect.
Perfect.
um, no, good stuff. So obviously, like you said, you decided. Obviously, you saw the older women or girls at your school, and obviously you're playing at the club. Obviously, going off to the States to play golf. Obviously, you said like it was an idea that you might had in the back of your mind if an opportunity came around. So, how did that opportunity come around for you to go off to America? And then also, what made you decide on the Limestone University in South Carolina?
Yeah, so like I said, I think going into high school, I was like a seven handicap golfer, and throughout high school, I was practicing competing. But to be honest, I was also not the most focused person. Like I did a lot of other stuff. Like traveled, hung out with friends, did other things that I just enjoyed. So, I was just trying to get myself to a position where, okay, if I want to go, there's an option. I can find a school, find a scholarship. So I think it was after the summer after my second year of high school, so just before starting my last and third year. That's kind of when I decided that I wanted to go. I was like, okay, I
Okay.
need to start thinking about what I'm going to do after high school, right? And
Yep.
this seems really cool. This seems fun. I was also at a period in my life, I was like, I spent 20 years in Sweden. I kind of want to get out of here. I want to do something else. I love traveling. I love languages. I thought it'd be super cool to live abroad, studying English, meet new people, and obviously get to play golf. Um, so that's when I kind of started looking, at okay, where can I go? What schools would be interested in me? And that whole process takes a lot of time,
Yep.
doing all the different tests, SATs and TOEFLs. And yeah, that's kind of when I started that. And I also decided quite early, I think, in that process that I didn't want to rush it. So I didn't want to go straight after high school. I also wanted to give myself a bit of time to practice and improve my golf game. So I decided I would
Okay.
finish high school, do that last year, do the full process, and then take like a gap year and just work, save up some money, practice golf, and then I would go after.
Okay.
So
That's
that's kind of
interesting.
what I did. But I did find limestone quite early on, to be honest. I could have probably gone straight after high school because I already committed to go to limestone. I think it was 1 year later, so the summer just after graduating high school.
Hmm.
But then again, I just felt like, you know what, I need some more time to get ready. Yeah, just practice, stay at home, and prepare for going over there.
So did that year that you took up, was that purely because you didn't think you were good enough to go and play there, or was it just more of a safety blanket type thing?
Um, Not really that I didn't think I wasn't good enough, but just that I thought I would get some more time to get better. And you can take a gap year without losing any eligibility. You can still go. You can have your 4 years. And I also thought, you know what, like it's kind of great to stay at home, like work, get some
Yep.
money before I go over there. So I can use that obviously throughout my years. So yeah, that was more the thing. And I wasn't really in a rush, to be honest. I felt like I don't know, it's different in different cultures. I've come to learn that as well because a lot of people like their parents are kind of hard on them, like you're not going to take a gap year. You need to,
Yep.
decide what you want to do, like get into university. But that's not really the culture here. A lot of people actually do take a gap year. I had lots of friends that took a year off, just like traveling to Asia, like backpacking, doing different stuff. So it was just, I don't know, it wasn't really a big deal in that sense. It
Mhm.
was just okay, perfect.
Which
Some
is
time
good.
to prepare, some time to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
ready. And yeah, I liked it. I felt like I was more mature maybe going into like college. I was 20 already when I went there, so that felt like
Yep.
a good time because it's still a good like it's a big move,
No, definitely.
going so far away from home.
So you left there. So you said sort of coming towards the end of those years, you're a seven handicap. You had that
Mhm.
year out or gap year. What was your handicap then when you left to go to university?
Yeah, so like throughout the years, like from starting high school when I was a seven handicap to leaving for college, I had gone down to like a one handicap. So that was like throughout high school. So I was around one when I went over there.
Good.
But that
Good.
was I don't remember exactly,
No,
every
no,
single
no,
year.
no.
But I know that's where I was at when I went to college.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good drop though, from obviously seven to one in a year. Obviously, so that year you did actually did make it worthwhile, which is what I was trying to get to, is sort of like how how good did you get so that you could obviously go off to university and kickstart the 4 years that you were there? It was just interesting.
Exactly.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So you did the 4 years at Limestone. How was that sort of experience? And like I said, going from, or the transition from going from Sweden to America, obviously then English becoming your, I guess, first language while you're there. Yeah, what was that sort of experience like for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a crazy experience to look back at, to be honest. It's always difficult to kind of summarize it because there was so many amazing things about it and so many difficult things about it at the same time. It's been, well, it's been a long time now, I
Yep.
want to say, because I left in 2015, so it's about to be, 9 years this year,
Yep.
which is kind of crazy. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
like, it's that long ago. But yeah, overall, like it was amazing. That's how I would look back at it. Like I said, there were tough moments with golf, with life, everything that happens, whether you're at home or whether you're far away from home. But it was just an experience that really helped me grow, I think. I got to live far away from home, become a lot more independent. I met a lot of, new people. I would say the main one being my boyfriend, who I met my freshman year, and that's still
Oh,
my boyfriend
nice.
today, Coco, who's also my business partner in, the content business.
Nice.
So yeah, just I don't know. It's so difficult to think back at it and just summarize it quickly because there was a lot
Yep.
of things that happened. Obviously, just the growth as well from being a freshman in college to being a senior. Like I was a very different person going to the US and then coming back from the US, I would say, both when it comes to obviously my confidence, when it comes to my golf, my
Yep.
level of golf, my love for golf, with school, with friends, with life, just everything. Obviously,
Mhm.
it's quite long, 4 years,
Yeah, that is
to live in a
not.
place.
Yeah, and not many people complete those 4 years as well. A lot of people would go for like maybe 1 or 2 years. So you must have really enjoyed
Yeah.
it to sort of finish off the full term. If you could pick one, it could be quite hard for you, but if you could pick one sort of golfing moment in those 4 years, what would it be?
One coffee moment. Oh, that is so difficult. I'm trying to think very quickly to try and figure it out because there were so many different ones. Um,
Were there multiple standout moments then?
yeah, I mean, in different ways. Like, obviously, I remember a lot of my freshman year coming there because that was more like, everything was kind of new and you're figuring everything out for the first time. A
Hmm.
lot of obviously like nervousness, like being nervous, playing in competitions, for your team, but also a lot of excitement and curiosity coming there, which was really cool. But I think kind of the middle years, they kind of, I don't know, all flow into one. I don't have any specific moments that I think of, apart
Yep.
from like weirdly one thing, and I don't know why I'm focused on that, but I just remember one tournament that we played in Kiwa Island at a course called Oak Point, where like I don't know, that course just is something I remember almost every single hole on that golf course, and I don't
Oh,
do
okay.
that with a lot of other golf courses. And I just like remember playing quite well that round. I remember hitting one of, I don't know, it's not one of the best shots I've ever hit in my life, but it's one of those shots where you kind of visualize it one way and then you kind of pull it off and it
Yep.
turns out exactly the way you visualized it. And for some reason that just came to my mind. I don't even know why, but that's just
What's
something that's ingrained in me.
what shot was it?
It was actually on the 18th hole.
Okay.
Um, and I had pulled my driver a bit left. So I was stuck between like, or not between, but behind kind of like two palm trees. And I needed to kind of start the ball right of the palm trees, which was right of the green, where there was a bunker and just kind of water behind and kind of draw it back in towards the pin. And I was
Okay.
like, ah, whatever, I'm gonna go for it and kind of like step behind, visualize the shot. And then it just like turned out exactly the way I imagined it. And that's
Love
just
it.
so satisfying. So for some reason that just, yeah, kind of has stuck with me, I guess.
No, I like it. So, again, when you left uh Limestone after those 4 years, what was your handicap then?
To be honest, I think it was like around zero or something like that. It's a weird thing because whenever you go to college, like nobody cares anymore about your handicap. Do you know what I mean? It's just something that I think I didn't even keep track of it myself, and I've
Yep.
been really bad at doing that overall. I think since I came back, it was probably zero, went into like plus zero point 0.5, something like around those lines. But I think at that point it was always just more about like what you were shooting, your scores, your average scores, and obviously like our handicap system hasn't really been the same. I know it's changed now, since I came back from college and everything, but
Hmm.
especially before, it's not the same the way it was in the US. I know there was more like, okay, the average, of your rounds. So a lot of my teammates were talking about that, but that's not how it worked back home. So I kind of
Yep.
didn't care, to be honest. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
more about like your average scores, like your level of play,
No,
I
definitely. I
guess,
definitely.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I totally believe that when you get down to a certain level, be it one or a zero handicap, the handicap just goes out the window. Like you say, it's more about
Hmm.
what's your average scores, what are you shooting over on an average day, and yeah, and how can you improve that obviously going forward. So that's interesting to.
Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, you never play any competitions or any events where they look at your handicap, so you're just like, okay.
Yeah, you're playing scratch, aren't you? So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
good stuff. Okay, so you come back from university. You're now what, 24, maybe? Yeah, 24.
Yes. Yeah.
What was your original plan back then? Was it to play pro golf? Was it to do anything in golf? What was the original plan that you set up for yourself?
To just put the golf clubs to the side and not touch them for a very long time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
Things kind of, yeah, took a turn towards the end, I would say, of my college time.
okay.
Um, and that's why it's so difficult to summarize it because there were so many great things about it, but it also got, I would say, more difficult towards the end. I guess, in some ways, I didn't play as well as I had hoped towards the end of my career in college, and I also just didn't enjoy playing as much. I kind of lost that love and that joy for the game, so I didn't enjoy it as much, and I felt that a lot of the competitions and a lot of the things around golf felt more kind of like a must, something that I had to do. I felt a lot more like pressure. Probably put a lot of pressure on myself as well to perform. Obviously, you want to have a great like last season. You want to play in all the events, and there's a lot of, I would say, like competition and drama as well. In a golf team, it's very different to be on a team like you're over there because you're not used to that in the same way here. I would say, at least not in Sweden. I mean, before you go to any of the college events, you typically have like qualifying, so you play against your teammates to see who's going to the event, and then you know whoever plays the best goes. So there was a lot of things that, yeah, I just felt like I didn't enjoy it anymore, to be honest. So whenever I graduated, I was just like, I don't feel like playing right now. This is not what I want to do. And just decided to take some time off, to be honest. And
Okay.
I never really thought about like turning pro or going pro straight after college, anyways. Like, I thought maybe freshman year, okay, let's say I'm playing super good throughout college. I might want to give it a try, but it was not something that was a clear goal. Like, I'm going to graduate and turn pro.
Okay.
So then towards the end, when I was like, I'm not really having fun, then I was like, let's just do something else for a while
Okay.
and see how I
That's-
like that.
Which is fair enough. So how long did it take you then to pick the golf clubs back up again?
All in all, until I started playing again, almost 2 years. I probably like did go to practice a bit, but just a few times, like in between.
Hmm.
But I did have like a full on year where I did not touch them at all,
Okay.
um, which
Interesting.
was kind of, yeah, weird. But
Yeah.
it just felt like that way. Like, I didn't enjoy it at all. It just felt, yeah, it didn't feel fun.
Okay. How did how did you get the fun back into golf then? Because obviously going into that would have been roughly what, 2020, COVID's kind of coming along. Obviously
Exactly.
you stuck at home, and I guess if I could be correct, but I guess that's where the sort of social media side of things started kicking in for you with the love of golf again, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, like 2019, that's when I graduated, May 2019. And then together with Coco, we decided we'd move back to Europe, to try something different.
Yep.
And we actually did move to Spain, to Barcelona. And he played football, like soccer, in
Yep.
college. But he had to stop playing because he tore his ACL in college.
Oh,
So his,
that's not good.
football career was over,
Yep.
and I obviously decided I didn't want to play golf. So we were like, okay, let's just move to Barcelona. Let's get jobs and
Yep.
try this for a while, kind of like the adult version of get an apartment, get a job, and try it
Yep.
out. Um, so that was 2019 to, yeah, 2020-ish when COVID happened, like you said.
Hmm.
So during COVID, we were stuck in Barcelona, in our apartment there, just like working from home. And it was also kind of like during that time that I realized that I kind of missed golf a bit. And, being at home, watching a bit of golf, I was like, well, I kind of feel like I want to start playing again. I want to start practicing.
Yep.
Um, and that's also, like you said, when the content journey really started. But
Yep.
there's also so many things that goes into that decision. And I feel like that's a very long story. So I'm not sure if I should kind of go for it or not, because that might be a lot of talking from my side.
Well, if you well, it's up to you. Obviously, if you can get it, I don't know if you can condense it down a bit. It's entirely up to you. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know. Like, obviously, when you pick the golf clubs back up again, like you said, you was missing it, and obviously,
Hmm.
then the content side of things kicked in. Again, what was the thought process with picking the golf clubs up again? Was it right? Okay, maybe I do want to try and get out there and play pro golf, or was it just purely for a recreational love of the game? And
Yes, I'm not yeah, it wasn't really for pro golf at first, to be honest. It was like at the same time that I started thinking about creating content, like filming videos for Instagram, basically, where it started.
yeah,
But that thought process didn't come from just anywhere. It was also from both Coco and I together. We did a lot more stuff, like not into golf specifically, but we actually had a podcast as well. That's what's kind of funny because I haven't been to too many podcasts after that, but we used to also host a podcast.
I I
But it
had
was
I had
not golf specific.
Yeah, I had seen that you guys had a podcast, but I wasn't too sure what it was about. So I didn't know if I was going to bring it up or not, but you brought it up.
Yeah,
So
exactly. No, so we did start a podcast also like 2019, kind of the same time when we moved to Barcelona. And that was like a sports podcast, but not with just like, yeah, golfers. It was like athletes of all sports. But we talked to a lot of different athletes, like world champions, Olympic champions, from swimmers to rugby players to handball players, just a lot of different people. Because we both love sports, obviously come from a sports background,
yep,
and just
yep,
felt like we wanted to have conversations with yeah, cool driven athletes that kind of followed their dreams and just kind of went after it, and talk a lot more about the struggles of being a pro athlete and not just kind of all the success that you see on social media and that you
yeah,
see
yeah, of course,
on TV. So we had been doing that obviously throughout our time in Barcelona. And I think a lot of those conversations also really affected me and impacted me because I started thinking a lot more about, like I'm really not enjoying what I'm doing for a living. Like,
yep,
sure, I'm making money like working, but I was working in sales and I just didn't like it. And the same thing was, that was Coco's thought process as well. He was also just working like, a 9 to 5 job, but wasn't really feeling fulfilled. And we did enjoy the podcast. We did enjoy, speaking with different people, like kind of making content in that sense. We were also making some of it for YouTube. So we're meeting some of the athletes in person, filming that, editing, putting that up. So we also like that side of social media, like podcasting media, um, and doing our own projects. So at the same time as I was feeling, what, I'm kind of missing golf, we were thinking, why not creating content for golf and why not start doing it together? Me, obviously, with my experience in golf and my love for golf in front of the camera, and then
yep.
Coco filming and with his experience editing, putting it all together. So that's
Okay,
kind of where it started. But that was, yeah, like I said, 2020, that the idea kind of came like summer 2020, but obviously we were still in quarantine in Barcelona, couldn't really
yep.
get out. We were in
Hmm.
Spain, didn't have a car, didn't have a golf course, anything. Um, so started posting, but it was mainly like old stuff, college swings and pictures. And then it wasn't really until 2021 when we actually left Spain that we kind of started creating some content for real,
Okay,
I would call it.
yeah, yeah. That's good. It's quite interesting to know that obviously a lot of people probably look at your Instagram stuff and say, "Oh, it's just Ellie doing it all." She's the
Yeah.
one, but it's interesting though to see that, like I say, it's now technically it's a business for both of you, and obviously you're the face of it all, but obviously behind the
Hmm.
scenes is obviously Coco creating all the content, editing all the content down. So
Yeah.
I quite like that. That's good.
Yeah, it's
Obviously
fun.
yeah, I mean, obviously you got some really good traction to begin with. I think it was like 2023, 2022. You was at like 22,000, I
Hmm.
think it was. That's when I kind of started seeing you around and I was like, okay, I'll give her a follow. It could be quite interesting. And you followed me
Yeah.
back. So I was like, okay, that's good.
Exactly.
And
I
and
remember it's been since like the beginning, to be honest.
yeah, yeah, which is good. But obviously the last year has been a bit manic. Obviously you've grown ridiculously well. You've got over 100,000 followers in the last sort of year or so. Obviously, to like 164,000. I think I checked a minute ago. And obviously, you signed with the likes of TaylorMade and Adidas. So, like, yeah, after can you put the last year into words and how that sort of relationship's built with? TaylorMade and Adidas, and obviously, what do you see as the reason as to why those guys kind of like want to be involved with your you and Coco?
I mean, that's difficult for me, obviously, to say exactly, put their thoughts
Yeah,
into words, but obviously they like what we're doing, which is amazing. We also like what they are doing, both TaylorMade and
yeah,
Adidas. I can talk, sorry. We obviously like what they're doing, both TaylorMade and Adidas, which is super fun. I mean, they're both brands that we really love, and
yeah,
I love how they are so disruptive into the industry. I think that's something that's super cool. Um, I feel really cool wearing Adidas stuff and also playing TaylorMade clubs. And I think, yeah, I just really like what they're doing in the industry. I think, especially as a woman as well, that's something that's super important for me. Growing up in golf, which is a male dominated sport, male dominated industry, now working in it as well. It's super important to also work with brands that do a lot for women in golf, which Adidas does. Obviously, I think
yep,
they make some of the best gear out there for women. They're always kind of pushing boundaries, making it new, making it modern, which I love. And the same for TaylorMade, with their all female ranges or women's ranges with the Kalia premieres that they've had, and yeah, they're making a lot of efforts for women in golf, which I think is super cool.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's I mean, obviously we love working with them, and we must be doing something right now that we've
Yeah, yeah,
partnered up, which is yeah, super fun. It's really the best way to start this year, and it also feels not surreal, but obviously things have gone quite fast, like you said, from 2021 when we kind of started for real. And to be honest, we kind of quit our jobs out of nowhere to pursue this and do it full time without not really knowing where we were gonna end up.
yep,
So I feel like now seeing kind of like all of this hard work pay off also feels great and fun, and makes both me and Coco very excited for the future, obviously,
oh,
and
no,
what's to come.
definitely.
It's fun to not only see our growth, for the social channels and our business, but also to see golf grow. That's equally as fun, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, obviously golf has never been in a better position. I only really came into golf sort of like 5, 6 years ago, so to see it grow from then is ridiculously good. And obviously the social side of things, and obviously you can see that now with obviously like the likes of the big sort of accounts like Good and Rick Shields and all those that are getting about there. And obviously the PGA Tour are now obviously realizing that social is a big part of golf now. So obviously I don't know if you saw, but obviously
Exactly.
they've got a tournament coming up, or qualifier tournament for YouTube golfers, which I think is just mental. It's great, but it's just a bit
Exactly.
crazy. So yeah, so hopefully the likes of the LET and that can take that on board as well, and make it a little bit more accessible for women as well, which would be really good.
For sure. And now Adidas has also partnered up with LET
Exactly
for
that, yeah.
this year, which is super cool to see
No,
as well.
definitely.
So yeah, it's a great time to obviously be playing golf. It's a great time to be in golf. I feel very, I don't know,
I
it's kind
agree.
of like the right time, right place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It feels a bit surreal. This is obviously like a career and a business that, I mean, even 10 years ago, like it didn't exist. So it's a
yeah,
really cool opportunity to be able to work with something that you love,
no, definitely.
and to hopefully make a difference.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I work in the golf industry now as well, and I absolutely love it. And I don't
Yeah,
class it as work half the time, but there we go.
exactly. It doesn't feel like work when you're
No,
enjoying it, having
it's
fun. And
exactly.
that's what I'm happy about, especially looking back. I mean, you reminded me now, like asking about COVID and everything. That was like beginning of 2021. So it's like 3 years still working a job that I didn't like at all. And same for
Exactly.
Coco. And now we're here doing something that we do enjoy every day. I mean, that's pretty
No.
crazy.
Well, that's quick because I left my 9 to 5 job that I was doing and got into the golf industry at the same time as you probably started your
Okay,
sort of journey as well. So like I can agree with you. It's great to be in a position that you just love doing what you're doing. So it's good.
exactly. It
Cool.
makes such a
So
big difference.
oh, it does massively. So what's the plan going forward in 2024 for Ellie and Coco when it comes to content? You don't have to give away too many secrets, but what's the
Not too many. Well,
no?
lots of content,
Yep.
always. We create a lot. We love to create a lot, honestly. Like that's the way forward, I think. You
Mhm.
want to create, you want to put stuff out there. When you're creative, like that's what you live for, right?
Yep.
And I think, yeah, we just love doing that. We love trying new things, like trying new types of videos, figuring out what works, what people like, what people don't like, but also what we like and what we don't like. Because sometimes you find content that might work on social media, but it's maybe not what you love doing, what you're passionate about. So I think this is
Yep.
really the year of pursuing all the content that we love and that we're having fun creating, you know.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, definitely a lot of content. Obviously, you see mainly on Instagram and on TikTok, but we're also gonna get the website and the blog up and running again
Okay.
pretty
Good.
soon, which is fun and cool. I really enjoy writing, and we obviously take a lot of pictures whenever we travel different places. So that would be a great place to also share that kind of in writing. I think a great resource. Also, kind of coming back to obviously my experience in golf, playing for so many years, playing at a high level. I feel like there's so much that I can also talk about, and I love to share with beginners or other aspiring golfers. So that'll be a great place to do that kind of in addition to the short form video
I
content, I
like it.
think.
Two quick more questions then. One,
Sure.
are you going to venture into YouTube? And two, is there scope for Ellie Skoog to ever play pro golf?
Okay, so number one, YouTube. Absolutely. And to be honest, it's something like we have done a bit of YouTube in the past. I think when we first started content, that was kind of the plan to make YouTube videos. And we did start, but I don't know, it was something about it. We felt like, I don't know, it wasn't as fun as the short form content, I think.
Yep.
And we're also people that like we really need to have kind of a purpose or like yeah, a purpose. I would call it a purpose with it. I don't want to just pull out the camera and just like, hey, I'm going out playing. Here's my vlog, whatever.
Yep. No, I
That kind
agree.
of vibe. I feel like if there's not a clear purpose with what you're trying to share with people, like the value and a structure to it, then it just doesn't feel as worthwhile. So I think we've been kind of waiting for both the right time and also kind of the right concept just to come to us,
Yep. Well,
if I can put it that way.
that leads into my second question then.
About
Maybe
the
that's
pro
yeah,
part.
maybe that's the purpose.
So that's the thing. Like, I mean, we didn't even touch on that because I feel like it's been so many back and forth and figuring out what to do with my life, with our life the past few years. But I did turn pro for a short period of time
Yep.
when we first started doing content. So that was back in 2021. I did turn pro that year and played like, I think, two events in Sweden. I did play the LETQ school winter 2021.
Yep.
And I don't know what it was. I just thought, you know what, like maybe I should just give it a shot and see if this is what I want to do. Coco obviously super supportive, saying like, you know
Yep.
what, like if you thought in the back of your mind that you kind of wanted to do it at one point, then you should just do it because you're going to regret it if you don't. So I
Yep.
did, and I quickly figured out that it was not what I wanted to do, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Like not just because I didn't play well, like at Q school, that was really difficult. I came, back into it after not having played golf for basically 2 years and not having competed for so long. So I feel like I also kind of underestimated how unprepared I was in a way.
Yep.
And that was difficult to deal with, like obviously just the way I played, but also mentally, I think. And then going into the spring of 2022, and we started making more content, that kind of started working a bit or taking off a bit on Instagram. And I was just having a lot more fun doing that. And I found myself, I think the one event I played in Sweden in 2022, I was in the middle of the fairway with Coco. It was an LET Access event. And
Yep.
I just remember thinking, I cannot wait to be done. I cannot wait to go home. I just want this to be over. And
Wow.
when
Okay.
you're out there thinking that, you
Yep.
probably shouldn't be doing that thing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But,
No more pro golf questions then.
no, that's okay. I
I'm
mean,
joking.
I don't know. It's a weird one, and it kind of took me a while to accept, I think, because when you've grown up playing golf, your whole life and you have so many people around you. I mean, obviously you have a lot of friends that play pro golf, like on tour today. It's a difficult one because you kind of feel like you should want to be pro. So it's difficult to accept that, like, okay, so this is it. Am I not going to compete anymore? Shouldn't I want this?
Yep.
But then just taking a step back and being like, you know what, like if you don't like it, if you're not enjoying it, you don't have to do that. And then obviously now with content and social media, that's a new kind of career into golf that didn't exist before. And it's just, yeah, it was a great timing of those things kind of coming at the same time. And I did also realize that I just have a lot more fun making content, filming the videos with Coco. So we were like, let's just do that 100%. So after that event, I think it was May 2022, that was the
Mhm.
last time I played competitively. And from there on, we were like, okay, all in on content.
Well, it's been a pretty good decision so far. So well done.
For
Okay,
sure. Thank you. I'm
that's
happy
right.
with it.
Quick, sort of quick fire questions. It might not be quick fire, but I'm going to ask them anyway. So one of this first one's actually quite. I think it's going to be quite a funny one, but we'll see what you think.
Okay.
So if you could play against any golf influencer, okay, and the winner gets all the other person's followers, so you go to zero.
Hmm.
Who would you play knowing that you could win?
Are you trying to get me to start some beef with someone? Is that what it is?
Nah, 100%. I mean, yeah, we'll leave that one off. I'm only joking. I wrote it down and I thought I
No, it's
can't
a
answer
funny
that
one, but
question, but
it's
yeah,
it's a funny one, but I feel like I don't even know who I would choose, to be honest.
no, you don't have to say it. You can tell me afterwards. Just don't say it on the
Okay.
podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would be in your dream four ball?
My dream four ball. I got asked that not long ago. To be honest, that would be Rory McIlroy,
Mhm.
Yuka Sasso, and Michael Jordan.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
You said you moved. Obviously, you lived in Barcelona, and obviously
Hmm.
Sweden, and obviously you've been to America. But if you could move to anywhere in the world, where would it be?
As of right now, I'd probably say California, and that's
Okay.
because we just came back from a trip to California. That
Yep.
was our first time visiting the West Coast. Like we lived on the East Coast, right? Like in South Carolina, that's where I went to college, and never went to the West Coast. So we just
All
went
right.
there like a few weeks ago and just absolutely loved it. I felt like maybe we should just move back again, to be honest. So that's
Yeah,
what I
why
would
not?
say.
You definitely
Not
get a
sure
lot more.
where exactly, but yeah,
Well, you can definitely make content all year round if you do.
that's the thing. That's the
Yeah,
thing that's really tempting about it.
no, definitely. Okay, and who, if you haven't already done it, but who would be the dream collaboration post with, apart not a brand, I mean, like if you could do something with another golfer, another sports person, another content
Ooh.
creator, who would be like your sort of dream collaborator?
I mean, there are so many, but to be honest, the first one that comes to mind is David Beckham, especially
Okay.
now when we've signed with Adidas as well.
Yep.
I just love sports overall, and obviously Coco coming from football, and me, like I liked football growing up as well, watching a lot of it. That's a person that we've been talking about. Like, wow, imagine making like a video with David Beckham. That'd be pretty cool. Kind of like
That would
a
be pretty
golf
cool.
football crossover.
That
Yeah.
would be pretty cool. He does play golf as well, doesn't he? Well, he used to play golf. I don't know if he still does, but he used to. So
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, how much he plays now, but yeah, that would be pretty cool.
yeah, good stuff. Okay. Well, normally I ask people about at the end of the podcast what their top three tips are for any aspiring golfer that wants to become pro. I'm not going to ask you that one because obviously I've been asking a lot more questions about pro. So I'm going to ask you about,
It's okay.
yeah, we're going to skip that one, but we're going to change it. So if you could give any uh or anybody creating content or creating a new profile, what would your top three tips be for them to actually grow an audience and attract followers and obviously then attracting brands to come on board and work with them?
I think the first one would be, I mean, it's two things that kind of go together, but consistency and patience. I know we said how, it's gone kind of fast for us, the way that we've grown, but at the same time, I would also say we posted a lot of content. I think if you look at on Instagram, it's probably 1,200, 300 posts or something like that. Like you got to post a lot in order to not only get in front of people, but also figure out, what type of content you like to make, what type of content that works, and also just get good at content. I think that's the thing. It takes time to create anything. So you gotta be consistent and just do it for a long time. And I'm sure you'll start to see some results. Um, that's the first one.
Yep.
Then I would say for the second one, try to find your uniqueness, like something that makes you different. Because there's a lot of the same now. We see a lot of the same stuff, not only in golf, but if you look at, fashion or food or whatever it might be, like a lot of people do the same type of content. So I think the quicker you can find something that makes you stand out and something that is you, I think that's going to be really, really good. Because that way people will be able to find something, yeah, something unique on the platform. And you need that today if you want to, get
Yep.
people's attention.
Yep.
So that would be the second one. Number, yeah, I'm trying to think. Number three, third advice. I mean, I could talk about this forever, honestly, like
That's good.
content and creation advice. Um, I would say the last piece of advice would be to just get started. Like if you want to do it, just get started. I think a lot of people kind of wait because they feel like they're missing something, whether it's equipment or they need to learn something more, they need to get ready, whatever it might be. And I think a lot of the time it's just about fear. And that was a bit the same for me or for us, to be honest. It's a
Yep.
bit uncomfortable at first, especially I think even more so when you're in front of the camera. It might be uncomfortable to see yourself on screen, whether you're talking, just seeing your face, seeing your swing if it's golf, right? Um, it's a bit uncomfortable. You might feel like you're going to get judged. People are going to laugh at you, whatever it is. You might feel uncomfortable with it. But I think just get started. Like, don't wait for anything else. You're going to learn along the way. You're going to get comfortable. And the same with, having the equipment. You don't need that much. You just need a phone. That's it. To be honest,
Hmm.
the first few videos we filmed, it was like, I think my phone was an iPhone 8, didn't have a mic, it didn't have anything else. And that's good enough. I mean, the phone that most people have today, that's
Yeah.
incredible for filming content. You really don't need anything. So I think if you're looking for a reason to start or looking to learn more or get better or yeah, just have better equipment, then you're wasting time. I think you just need to get started, and then with time you're gonna get comfortable and you're gonna get better at content, and then you can invest into new stuff. But you really don't need that starting out. It's just an excuse to not start, I think.
Good stuff. Thank you, Ellie, very much for coming on and giving us an insight into your journey into creating really good golf content. Obviously, it's been an eventful one, but you've now obviously, like you said, you found your uniqueness or your purpose into what you're doing. So yeah, thank you very much for coming on and keep up the good work.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.